Hello and welcome to another video. You guys, for this video, I'm going to be talking about 20 stocks that I believe everyone should have on their watch list. And I'm going to try to go through them pretty quickly because I know 20 stocks is a lot. But the reason why I wanted to create this video is because I was having a conversation with one of my best friends. We went out for dinner on Monday, and after we finished dinner, we just kind of started talking about life, the world, everything going on. And I was telling her a little bit more about, what I have going on with my investments and the returns that I've seen. I'm a pretty private person when it comes to my finances, but this is someone who is literally like my sister. We've known each other since we were 8 years old, which is actually crazy that we've had our friendship for over 20 years now. And, she was telling me how she's been kind of curious to learn, but I feel like it's just very intimidating when you're getting started because you don't even know where to start, right? And so my conversation with her was really around like just understanding what it looks like to invest and to not only long-term invest, but also potentially trade, because I feel like when you don't have the background, I'm talking for myself too. Like a couple of years ago, I had no idea what the stock market was to begin with. It is very overwhelming to get started because you're like, okay, how do I even do this? What do I have to do? How do I get started? Like, where do I go to like buy these stocks? Like, there's so much that you have to learn. And so I am really excited that she wants to learn. I'm definitely going to try to transfer as much knowledge that I can, share, the ups and downs of the stock market, because like I always say, as much as you can make money in the stock market, you could definitely lose money in the stock market. And I just like to be very transparent about that. And yeah, so I think that this video is a way for me to share some of the stocks that I have been personally adding to my portfolio with her. And then at the same time, I can post it on here for those of you who have been following along and subscribed. And you've probably heard me talk a lot about these stocks. I also am curious to know if there are any other stocks that you personally own and you want to share. You can leave them in the comments and I'll take a look, because I always like to expand my watch list. And I am someone who likes to actually watch a stock before I invest. So I'm not the type of person that I'll hear someone say a stock and I'm immediately in it. I don't like that. I don't like buying the hype. I'm very, very focused on understanding what the company is. I do my research. I try to understand. I try to watch the charts for 3 to 6 months before I personally add my own money into those different stocks. So again, these are stocks that I've been watching, that I've been studying, that I've been investing in personally, and I want to share forward, not only with my best friend, because I am going to share this video with her, but also for anyone else who is curious or, just wants to know where to start or what to look at. I believe that these 20 stocks are ones that are really, really cool to not only watch, but also to understand how you can divide your money in these different stocks. So to start off, I'm going to start with Advanced Micro Devices. So that's the first stock I want to talk about. Advanced Micro Devices, that's ticker symbol AMD. AMD is currently trading for around $233. And I just want to talk about this to start off because especially if you're starting off and you hear $233, a lot of people, including myself when I first started, I'm like, I don't just have $233 that I'm just going to throw to buy one share of one stock. Like, I'm not like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So as we go through these stocks, I want you to note that these are just stocks that I personally have added, and they are growth stocks. So a lot of these stocks I actually purchased when they were a bit cheaper, and I've just seen the growth in them. However, these are great stocks to buy when there is a dip or a pullback, right? Or a correction. So these are just ones that may be priced a little bit higher right now, but they still are ones that you want to watch and add when you can, or dollar cost average when you can. So AMD is one. Just for perspective, I also wrote down, so you guys, I always have like a little notepad or something. Oops, I just dropped something. But I always have something where I am actually seeing the stocks that I want to share with you all. So just for a little bit of kind of context, AMD is a stock that is currently trading for $233. And however, I've talked about this stock when it was in the $100 to $110 range in my previous videos. So when there was that correction in April, I did highlight AMD pretty much in every video. So if you've heard me talk about this and now you're kicking yourself because it's at $233, I can't say I didn't tell you. to give you a little bit more perspective, when I talk about my long-term portfolio, I do have AMD, and I did dollar cost average this stock out. So my average right now is $122 per share. So I am at about a 90% profit for that specific stock. So I like to share that because I think it's important to note that I'm not necessarily telling you to buy AMD right now at $233, although I do think long term this will continue to go up. But what I am saying is that when you see those dips, those pullbacks, those corrections, then that's when you should potentially try to get in, okay? So that's my first one. The second one, y'all hear me talk about this stock all the time. It's Palantir, ticker symbol PLTR, currently trading for $178. Again, to give you perspective, my average right now for Palantir is $65. Now, when I say this, I don't want you to think, okay, girl, well, your averages are so low. Like, why would I want to get into a stock at $178 when, you know, it's probably already hit its peak? I started investing in Palantir when Palantir was around $18, $20. And every time it reached a new high, so when it reached $40, I'm like, should I continue to add or should I just wait? And then guess what? It blew past $40. And then when it hit $70, the same thing hit my mind. I'm like, should I continue to add or should I just hold on? So sometimes you do end up averaging up, but especially for stocks that are growth stocks, this is also okay. I'm at a point right now where I'm just holding on to my stocks. I like my average of $65. And so I am considering adding more Palantir whenever there is a pullback or a correction. But other than that, I'm just watching the stock and also doing some contract option plays as well. So those are my first two. The third one is Nvidia. That's ticker symbol NVDA, currently trading for around $183. I got into Nvidia this year, and so I did buy a little bit more expensive. However, I also dollar cost average when there was that correction. So my average right now for Nvidia is $131. I also really like this average. So I mentioned this in my previous videos. For Q4, I'm not necessarily adding or trying to average up in my stocks. I'm just letting them kind of run up. So especially these three, which are the ones that I always talk about, AMD, Palantir, and Nvidia. Those, I'm really happy with my dollar cost average that I did throughout the year. And so I'm just kind of letting those run up as they need to. Definitely still think that they all have room to continue moving up. So again, put them on your watch list and then wait for any pullbacks or dips. Okay, so the third one is Broadcom, and this is ticker symbol AVGO. And this one is currently trading for $350. Again, a little bit on the pricier side, but I do think this is one that is worth watching and adding whenever there's those dips and there's corrections. And then the last one that I'll mention, which are kind of like my top five, is Robinhood, which is ticker symbol HOOD. Currently trading for around $131. Now, this is one that actually recently had a pretty significant dip, and I am happy again with my current average, so I'm not necessarily buying, but I am going to watch. And if it does continue to dip under, I would say probably $120, I would consider averaging up and just adding a couple more shares of Robinhood, because I do think this long term will continue to go up. So those are some of the ones that I wanted to mention for a little bit more expensive stocks that I personally am not currently adding. But if there are those dips or those corrections, I'm going to continue to add more. Okay, moving on to, I wanted to talk about two stocks that I just recently started adding to my portfolio that I had on my watch list since the beginning of the year. And I feel really comfortable and confident in them, and those two are Oklo, that's ticker symbol OKLO, currently trading for around $164, and then CoreWeave, which is ticker symbol CRWV, going for around $136. Now, again, these are ones that are a little bit newer in my portfolio, and I am still continuing to watch and trying to understand how they move. One of the really cool things about like having a watch list and then on a weekly basis looking at how they move is that you can start to recognize patterns, and these patterns are actually what help you start doing options contract trading. Okay, So there's two different things that I personally talk about. I always talk about my long-term investments, which is my portfolio that I'm building out, where I'm buying and holding, and I'm not really doing much of selling. I'm only really dollar cost averaging where I can. And then there's another side of investing, which is the trading portion, which you can actually make a little bit more money short-term trading, and that is the buying and selling of contracts for each of these different stocks. So there are two different things and two different ways to kind of play the investing game. I always say that my long-term investment is probably my biggest focus, because this is something that I want to be able to grow and leave for future generations. So I am really focused on that. But the options contract is something that once you learn that skill set, it is absolutely amazing. Also, I am more of a swing trader. I'm not really a day trader. I have a day job, so day trading doesn't really work for my schedule. But swing trading is a way to make some profitable trades and have some additional income. So next up, I want to talk about three stocks that are, I would say, definitely affordable, and ones that I continue to think will, or that I think will continue to go up. So these three are SoFi, which is ticker symbol SOFI, currently going for around $26. My average for SoFi is $13, so I am at around 100% profit up. And unrealized, that's an unrealized gain because I'm not selling those shares. But I do like to give kind of like the perspective. Whenever there are dips, I add more SoFi because I do think this stock is going to continue to go up. The next one is SoundHound AI, that is ticker symbol SOUN, and that one is currently trading for around $19. My average for this one is $12. I'm only sharing my averages because I think that's important to show that there's a reason why in situations where the market fluctuates, I don't panic as much as people who tend to buy when they're hitting all-time highs or their price levels are a little bit on the higher side. Again, I'm someone who only really tries to buy when there are dips or corrections in the market. So that's the only reason I'm sharing kind of where my personal average is. And then the last one for kind of like the cheaper ones is Big Bear AI, which is ticker symbol BBAI, currently trading for around $7.50. And this one actually, I started buying BBAI when it was around $2. I've seen it go up to $9. So my average right now is $4. And again, this is another one to watch. I really think that there is a lot of room for growth for BBAI, especially as they're starting to get into the different airports. They're doing a lot of contracts with airports. And so we know that artificial intelligence is kind of the wave right now, and it's only going to get more and more popular, especially in airports. I don't know how many of you use, for example, Clear. I'm someone who travels with Clear, and so kind of doing those types of security checkpoints where you're using facial recognition, a lot of AI is embedded in that, and BBAI is one of the main providers for that type of service. So definitely think that one is still one that I would consider on the cheaper side. Again, it's going for $7.50, and I do see some growth for that one. Some newer ones that I wanted to mention is APLD, which is currently going for around $34, and also RGTI, which is currently going for $47. These are again newer on my portfolio, but I've already seen over 100% return on both of them. Also unrealized gains, which means I'm just holding. I'm not actually selling these. If anything, I'm going to be waiting for any pullbacks or dips to add more shares because I don't have a ton of shares of these two. Okay. I know this is a lot, so hopefully you are writing these down. These are ones that I believe haven't really had the momentum that I think they're going to have. So these are ones that I still believe are affordable and are actually going to continue to move up. The first one is BMNR, currently going for around $50. Again, this one is in the kind of crypto space, and we all know that crypto had a major crash recently. So definitely be very mindful and careful when you are investing in just kind of like the hype and I'm not trying to be a crypto hater, but I feel like it's a little bit too uncertain for me. And a lot of the political conversations, and the government is talking about crypto now, where it was supposed to be something that was like, oh, it's not a regulated form of currency, and now it just seems like there's too much weird stuff going on with crypto that I'm just treading very lightly when it comes to that. However, I am buying BMNR, as that is something that will fuel Ethereum specifically, and it's also backed by Tom Lee. So I am adding some shares when I can. Not a ton of money in these, but they're still good ones to consider. So BMNR is one. The next one is Lyft. That's ticker symbol LYFT. Currently going for around $19. I do think that Lyft will eventually pop. I would say Lyft is like a cousin stock to Uber. I'm also invested in Uber, and Lyft is definitely a lot more affordable. Uber is, I think, $92 right now. Again, Lyft is $19. So definitely one that I would consider buying, and I think that there is some growth opportunity for Lyft. Okay, next up we have Kava. That's ticker symbol CAVA, and Kava is currently trading for around $62. I actually started investing in Kava last year. It was a lot more expensive, so there was a huge correction that happened with Kava. I did see it bounce off of around $58, which is when I decided to start dollar cost averaging, because I do think it's going to continue to go up. But this is another one that I would add. Okay, next up I have QUBT, currently going for around $18. And this is in quantum computing. Again, we're going to see, I feel like, big moves in quantum computing and AI. These tech stocks that are partnering with AI, there's going to be a lot of growth in these types of stocks. So that's another one that I'm adding on. I'm adding and dollar cost averaging where I can. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about 4 stocks that are dividend paying stocks. These are stocks that I believe you should have in your portfolio, especially if you're someone who wants some passive income. They are a lot cheaper and more affordable. These are ones that are not going to run up like the other stocks, so they're pretty steady. You'll see them kind of stick within a couple of cents. So it'll go up maybe 50 cents a dollar, or go down 50 cents a dollar, but they kind of stay steady. And then also the reason why I like investing in these is because they're actually going to pay you a dividend either monthly or quarterly. So I want to hit these 4 stocks, and then I'm going to just stop the video there, because I don't like making long videos. I don't want people to have to watch an hour long of content. I actually am someone who really believes that you should be learning and just doing as you go. So a lot of it will be homework for you to listen to the stocks, write them down, add it to your watch list, and then do your research and figure out which ones you want to invest in. So for my 4 dividend stocks, I have the first one is Atom. It's ticker symbol ADAM, currently going for around $6.77. This one pays a quarterly dividend of 23 cents per share. The second one is ORC, currently going for $7.32. This one pays a 12-cent dividend monthly per share. The third one is IVR, currently going for $7.22. This one pays a 34-cent dividend per share on a quarterly basis. And then the last one I'll mention is AGNC, which is currently going for around $10, and this one pays a 12-cent monthly dividend per share. So I know that was a lot, and hopefully if you wrote these down, now you want to go in and actually create the watch list. You can create a watch list in Robinhood. You can create a watch list in Charles Schwab. You can create a watch list in TradingView. So whichever platform you want to actually be able to follow along, you can do that. And again, remember that you want to buy when there are dips. You don't want to buy when things are at all-time highs. So right now, if you do end up buying when things are a little bit pricier and you see that there is a dip, you don't want to freak out. If anything, you want to see where you can dollar cost average. So I'm big, and this is how I started my own portfolio. You start small and you add where you can. So you start small, you can start with $100, you can start with $200, you can start with $500. Don't start with $10,000. Even if you have $10,000 to start with, don't do that. I would say start small, figure out which shares you want to buy first, watch how they perform for a couple of weeks, and then add wherever you see fit. Okay? So that is it for today's video. I know that 20 stocks is a lot, but I've been wanting to do this video for a long time because I always highlight kind of the same ones throughout my different shorts or videos that I post on here. And this is a way for me to be able to share with my best friend first which ones I think she should be watching, and then of course with you all, I want to be able to get some additional stocks to watch. So if you are watching and you stayed till the very end, go ahead and comment which other stocks I should add to my watch list, and of course subscribe if you like videos like this. Thanks for watching. Peace.